potato, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato. What is up, everybody? It's your boy Jermaine Main on MMA, and today, pardon me, today we are watching a video from our boys over at Kombat Capital. That's right, honey. Break out the red panties. Kombat Capital just dropped. It's going down tonight, ladies and gents, or it's going down right now. Hey, I just wanted to say to you guys before we get into this video, I do in my mind, I was like, I should put out more than one video a day, right? Obviously. I was like, I should just be, especially if I'm home when something happens or whenever I have free time, I should just whip out a video, just whip it out. You know what I'm saying? But I did do a test. I don't know if you guys caught that. There was one day where I dropped two videos about I think they're about 2 to 3 hours apart in the release. And that second video didn't get a single view for like 2 days. So I was like, well, that was a waste of my time. But let me know, man. Let me know in the comments if you guys want more videos. I want to get you guys more content. But as I said, that video, the second video, when I posted 2 videos in one day, the first video was getting views and the second video didn't get a single view for 2 days. And then I clicked view. I clicked on it to give it a view, and then the views started to grow. But like it just wasn't pushed out to anybody. So I don't even know how this works, but you guys are gonna have to hit that alert bell, that notification bell, so you guys can see everything. If you guys want more videos, let me know in the comments. And so this video from Kombat Capital is called What Depression in MMA Looks Like. All right. He's got some interesting fighters in the thumbnail, like Tony Ferguson. It says forced to fight in this thumbnail. It's pretty interesting in my opinion. Let's see what Kombat Capital has to say, and I'll react throughout. And at the end, ladies and gents, sex be so good, I say blah, blah, blah. So fucking whack. I'm like a millionaire off of that trash ass whack rhymes.
Man, it's interesting watching these guys.
God damn it.
Come and go. Man, it's interesting watching these guys come and go, and you know, and come in with so much promise.
Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, and maybe not the next month, but I will be champion one day, I promise.
You make a promise to me that you're gonna beat cancer, and I'll make a promise to you that I'm gonna make it to the UFC, and I'm gonna take you with me.
Yeah, I said to my dad when I said, listen, by the time I'm 25 years old, I'm gonna be a self-made millionaire, and he laughed at me.
There are many reasons why someone might find themselves in the UFC octagon.
So why do I fight? I fight because it's something that I choose to do. I love fighting. Fighting's better than anything else.
It's amazing for a guy who I believe was a janitor, right? And you got into this because you needed to get some money for diapers, right?
Yeah. I've lost my mind on this game, yeah? Like Vincent Van Gogh.
But sometimes fighters can find themselves in certain...
I think that's that's deceiving a little bit there. Like, I think janitors make decent money. That's a trade. All right. If he's like an apprentice, maybe he's coming in like making 30 an hour. Maybe more. He's in New York. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he's making much more than that. It's interesting. He went from doing a trade, right? Essentially, I think he's doing a trade. That would be like a maintenance worker. And he needed money for diapers as a janitor. You think he'd be, well, I guess I don't know where he was working. I'm sorry.
Circumstances that can force their hand in one way or another.
I'm broke, so I need to fight.
Today, we take a closer look at some of the fighters who have found themselves compelled to fight.
Everybody acts like this is a career. This isn't a career.
It's an opportunity.
This is an opportunity.
Whether it's in search of a title, promotional pressure, or simply aging out of the sport. Let's examine exactly how some athletes have been forced to fight. How quickly does someone get a title shot in the UFC? Is it after a 9-fight win streak? Is it after 3 wins? Or even none?
Yeah.
Well, Tony Ferguson is an animal. An animal.
It's silly.
He's the scariest guy at 155 in my word.
Man, we should not let the UFC get off for that Kaya Sakura fight. No UFC wins. Had already been knocked out by Manel before coming to the UFC. And he was awarded a title shot and got walked through. And though people in the UFC can have be on a 10-fight win streak and are just begging, please give me a ranked opponent. It's crazy. We should not forget that. We should not let that slide. Whenever they're like, oh, I don't know if this person's deserving or not. All right. Is Umar deserving? Yeah. If you put it in comparison to the fact that they just gave Kaya Sakura a title fight with no UFC wins. He did nothing to prove that he was going to be, that he should be there in that position. When I looked at the tape, I was like, dude, he's going to get walked through. And he got walked through. I don't know. It's crazy.
Tony Ferguson amassed a remarkable 12-fight win streak from 2013 to 2019, which remains one of the longest in UFC history.
Tony Ferguson's last 7 opponents. Jesus Christ.
They're all bloody messes.
Ferguson's winning streak included victories over several top contenders.
Is that his last fight? No, maybe his last fight in the
Rafael
UFC.
dos Anjos, Edson Barboza, and Kevin Lee.
He's legit crazy.
Yes.
I don't know if he feels pain. That kind of crazy.
Despite his impressive performance within the octagon, Ferguson's career was marred by denied opportunities and unfortunate circumstances that prevented him from fighting for a unified world title.
Tore his knee because he tripped over a cord after that interview.
Craziest moment in
People will
UFC
undoubtedly
history.
point out that Tony missed out on an opportunity for the title when he himself had to pull out due to an injury.
Yeah, I got
Tripping
hurt
on
twice.
the cord.
Oh, okay. One time I fucked up my knee. I tore my LCO, which that's the one where it's like I had a full cadaver reconstruction.
Bro, I always wonder, man, if Tony Ferguson just doesn't step on those wires and we get to see that fight, my God.
How? Yeah.
Because that was Tony Ferguson when he was the fucking boogeyman, when everybody was scared of him.
Yep.
But the fact still remains that many fighters were able to realize a unified world title opportunity having achieved far less.
You guys will really see what I went through. This was no easy task for myself. You guys have no idea. When you're hurt, how do you feel? You lay down, right? You take a second, you go, you take your vitamins, you do your thing. When I'm hurt, I love it. I love that feeling because it's real.
Perhaps it was because Tony was forced to fight so many times to earn his shot and had to go through so many training camps that he was so injury prone by the time he got there.
He said he works out a legitimate 6 hours a day. He says he's running hills. They do these hill sprints, and he said he laps everybody.
Then there's Nate Diaz. After his loss to Leon Edwards in 2021, Nate Diaz was not shy about his desire to try his hand at boxing.
Is that something that interests you? A boxing match against Jake Paul?
Nah, not at the moment, no. But at some point, for sure.
This would, of course, mean that he would have to fight out the rest of his UFC contract. And the UFC weren't too keen on allowing one of their biggest stars to potentially go and sign with another promotion.
You guys aren't gonna let me go because I'm the best fighter here? And you're not gonna let me go unless it's off of somebody? I gotta make somebody for you?
Yeah. It was speculated that the UFC
That
wanted to
Khamzat
give
shit was
Diaz the
bogus.
toughest matchup possible, partly as punishment for the bad press in the past, but also to ensure he went out on a loss.
I'm
so he would
thankful
be
that
less
did not
useful
happen
other
to Nate.
promoters.
Who does it feel like you're going to war with this week?
The organization.
So the UFC matched Nate up with none other than the UFC boogeyman himself, Khamzat Chimaev.
UFC wants to kill that guy, like how to do it. I say always I'm like killer, they pay for me and take his head.
I gotta make somebody for you? Well, all right, well, you're welcome. Let's make you.
In a strange turn of events, Chimaev would miss weight, meaning Nate would actually end up facing Tony Ferguson on short notice.
Diaz has to thank God he didn't fight me, so.
To the Diaz Army's delight, Nate submitted Ferguson and found himself leaving the UFC on a huge win.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Speaking of the Diaz brothers, someone who felt forced to fight by the environment they found themselves in was Nate's brother, Nick.
I'd like to dedicate this performance tonight, this whole night, and everything to a few friends of mine that passed away. First off, a special girl, very special girl in my life, named Stephanie Wise.
She had walked and killed herself on the freeway. The girl I loved more than anything had tried to kill herself for the 3rd time and succeeded.
Growing up in Stockton, California was tough for Nick. He struggled in school both academically and socially.
Going to a school where it's not so hard, I really stood out as like a hardcore guy when I'm not so hardcore in a hardcore school. So it was just no fitting in anywhere.
He delved into growing up in Stockton and not having a father figure at home and having to take care of Nate and be the head of household.
With a lack of any real opportunity to escape his hostile environment, Nick reluctantly turned to fighting, as he had a natural propensity for martial arts.
He doesn't do MMA to be popular. Nick doesn't do MMA to get a pat on the back. Nick doesn't train and fight to get people's approval. Nick does it to survive.
In order to love fighting, I have to hate it. There's no loving this without hate.
Nick and his brother both went on to have storied careers in the UFC, but by the time Nate was able to cash in on the Diaz name, Nick had passed his prime and all but officially retired from the sport after being suspended for marijuana use multiple times.
Saying, oh, you're disregarding the sport, or you don't have respect for the commission and the sport. I'm like, well, hell no, I don't. I've been lying to you.
When he made his last comeback against Robbie Lawler, Nick said the training camp was rushed and he wasn't truly ready to make the return to the octagon, and it showed in both his physique and his performance. In a sad turn of events,
he looked goofy
Diaz
in
now
there.
seems to be struggling with further issues outside of the cage.
This version of Nick and this version of Nick is cause for concern, right? It
Oh,
looks
I
like
used the
he's lost
ITP
a
video.
ton of weight. His skin is way
We
more
reacted
pale
to
and
that.
has a sickly yellowish coloration to it, and his ability to construct basic sentences seemingly took a massive nosedive in less than a year's time.
And he is now making incredibly poor quality videos for fans on Cameo. One can only assume because he needs the money.
Happy 30th birthday. I hope you're doing well, training hard.
Sad to see from one of the realest in the sport. Following his hard-fought victory over Cejudo, Sterling showcased his grappling and striking prowess. Many expected him to take a well-deserved break to recover and strategize for his next opponent.
I get to have some downtime with my friends, actually create some memories outside of fighting. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
However, circumstances quickly shifted. The bantamweight division was rife with activity, and Sean O'Malley was emerging as a significant contender.
Get ready to come. You better look better than that.
Given his marketability and fan appeal, the UFC was eager to capitalize on O'Malley's momentum, which created pressure on Sterling to face him sooner rather than later.
Don't take the fight. We'll have somebody else fight. We'll do somebody else for the interim title. You know what I mean?
You don't want to fight, Aljo. You don't have to fight. I'm not forcing you to fight.
Sterling found himself at a crossroads.
Yeah, you did.
He
We
had just
reacted to
endured a
that
grueling
video
match
too,
against
ladies and
Cejudo.
gents.
Nonetheless, the urgency of the title picture, along with the promotional pressure, forced him to prioritize the fight against O'Malley, despite the quick turnaround.
Right now hurts, so I don't know. We'll see. So you guys have this inside scoop. I'm gonna try to make this happen. This will be a sick, insane turnaround, but
Having not seemingly had the chance to prepare mentally and tactically, Sterling seemed frustrated in the fight, and while recklessly wading into range, Sugar Sean made him pay the price.
see, this is the difference. He stayed disciplined to his game plan, and I kind of let, I don't want to say emotions, but I kind of let.
In 2024, Alex Pereira stepped in on short notice multiple times to save numerous UFC cards, and has managed to do so in spectacular fashion.
When you have a champion like this who seemingly can make the weight with relative ease on a couple of weeks' notice, there aren't that many champions on this roster that can A, make the weight, and B, have the confidence to beat a #1 contender type on short notice.
Although it might be a stretch to say Alex Pereira has been forced to fight, it must be noted that the man is 37 years old, which could account for his desire to speedrun his legendary career.
Obviously, he had history with Izzy, but then he turned it around and he fought him again. And then he turned around, and after losing his belt in April, he was in a fight with Jan Blachowicz in July, right? And then he was back in the octagon in November. So it's like he's very consistent with his performances, and he is very active in terms of fight career.
At UFC 295 in New York City, the originally planned headliner between John Jones and Stipe Miocic was canceled after Jones suffered a pec tear in training. As a result, the matchup between Pereira and Jiri Prochazka was bumped up to the main event. Then there was UFC 300, in which Dana White was desperately trying to find a main event after it became apparent that Conor McGregor was not going to be able to make a return.
Last month it was announced you were headlining UFC 300 against Jamal, so I'm curious, how far in advance did you know, or were you surprised by the announcement?
I found out about it a few days before. We were supposed to be fighting at UFC 301 in Rio.
With many fighters declining the opportunity, Alex got the call to top the card against Jamal Hill, and made yet another historic moment in MMA history. To add to the legend, Alex Pereira stepped in on short notice to headline UFC 303 to rematch Jiri.
And he's got, 2 weeks until the fight, and he's going to take on the samurai himself, Jiri Prochazka,
cementing him as Fighter of the Year. Whether it's his closing window for competition or simply an animalistic desire to fight, Alex Pereira has saved more UFC cards in a single year than most do in an entire career. In the unforgiving world of mixed martial arts, every fighter faces their own set of compelling circumstances that shape their journey in the octagon. Whether driven by the allure of a title, the relentless pressure of promotion, or the ticking clock of age, each athlete finds themselves navigating a landscape where fighting becomes more than just a choice. It's a necessity. The stories of these fighters reveal a stark truth.
This is their income.
The pursuit of glory can feel like a relentless obligation, almost a calling, that often leaves them no room to pause or reconsider. In this arena,
it's almost like people feel like fighters should be financially somehow taken care of in other avenues before even pursuing MMA, but like the years that it would take to be financially set outside of that and then pursue MMA, you'd be too old to pursue it. I'm too old to pursue it. And I'm looking at it like, damn, I'm finally able to financially support myself and like train MMA, but I'm too old. I'm too old to be UFC champion or Bellator fucking, which doesn't exist, or PFL. Too old. But yeah, it's weird that people are like, it seems like people have to fight out of necessity. This is their job. I think it's sad that I have to go to work out of necessity. That's sad. You know what I'm saying? That's what they have to do. That's what you're saying. It's sad that these people have to fight out of necessity. Yeah, I got to show up to work or they won't pay me.
An opportunity blend, compelling even the most accomplished competitors to fight when they may not feel ready. Ultimately, the heart of the sport lies in these struggles, a testament to the lengths athletes will go to prove their mettle and carve out their legacies.
Shout out to Kombat Capital. I love Kombat Capital's video. Very clean production. I don't necessarily always agree with the takes, but it's very clean production from Kombat Capital. Y'all make sure to give them a like and subscribe, ladies and gents. Yeah, the depression in in MMA, I guess you could definitely see, like, I definitely think I saw it with Aljo. You saw it in the meeting with Hunter Campbell. When he pretty much pressured him to fight Sean O'Malley. You saw it after the O'Malley fight. You know what I'm saying? You see this. There's definitely some depression. It's sad with Nick. I say with Nick Diaz, there's clearly more things going on. They threw in some clips from the ITP MMA video that we even react to here. We reacted to that video here. Very sad situation with Nick. Nate almost had to fight Khamzat. He was very, very depressed, very openly upset with the situation that he was put in on his way out of the UFC. Tony Ferguson, I don't know. I was never a Tony Ferguson guy. I was never a Tony Ferguson guy, but yeah, it's unfortunate for him. It's unfortunate to see these people go through such depressions. Like, I see someone like Tony Ferguson, and you see the heights that he was able to reach, and then to see like a 7-fight losing streak. Just imagine what's going through that dude's head. And you guys remember he had the whole scare where he was throwing holy water on his wife or some shit, saying there was demons in the house. She had to take his kid and like flee because he was like saying there was like demons. I think he said his wife wasn't really his wife. She was a demon pretending to be his wife. He's throwing holy water on her. And he's going through a 7-fight losing streak. He's in the middle of this having mental breakdowns, man. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But let me know in the comments, do you think there was something that was missed in this video? Are there any instances that should have been touched on? Or do you just agree? You guys like everything in the video that Kombat Capital had to put out there? I thought it was pretty interesting. I disagree on the parts of when anybody says, oh, now it seems like the fighters have to fight out of necessity to earn money. No, that's the whole point of this. That's their job. They trained for years so that they could get in the cage, get in the ring, and fight for money. That's what they've been working for like the past 10, 20 years. That's what they've been training for. And they're 37, yes. All right. Well, he's probably been kickboxing, and we're talking about Alex Pereira, since he's been 14, 15. He's 37, and he's knocking people out first, second round. All right. This is his job. And now he's making the most money. Any of these people, Aljamain Sterling, they're all making millions to do their job. I don't think this is people fighting out of necessity. I think they're doing their job. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you guys once again for being here. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I will see you when I see you. I'll holla.